Cackley Insurance is a locally owned home, auto, and life insurance specialist located in Cuyahoga Falls at 619 Portage Trail. Cackley Insurance puts their clients first, and as an independent agent, they are proud to serve their community. As a proud supporter of high school athletics in the community, give Cackley Insurance a call today at 330-929-6006 or visit them online at cackleyinsurance.com. That's Kakley insurance.com. And thank you for your support of Stark Media and high school athletics around the area. Welcome in, everybody, to the Pro Football Hall of Fame and Stark Media High School Football Weekly. I'm TJ Downing, joined by Jim Bostic, Jeff Tyler, and Rod Strata, and we're here inside of the Presentation Center as we get ready for Week 5 already coming up in Ohio high school football. As we recap now what happened in Week 4 and get you ready for Week 5, I'm going to head down here to the left of me. First, before I do that, let's make a mention of our great sponsors here at Stark Media, Hilsher Clark Electric Company, and the Eagles FOE 190. We'll talk about some of our other good partners as we roll along through this presentation inside of the Presentation Center. But first, to my guys over here out at Perry High School. Special deal for you, my man, a Perry Football Hall of Famer. Got a chance to talk to the team. It probably wasn't received as you thought it may, because it ended up being a lopsided game. McKinley was in control the whole time, but pretty cool for you to be able to go back to your old stomping grounds, right?
Yeah, thanks, DJ. Sure was. I'm not sure if my pregame speech was motivational or not. Unfortunately, the Panthers, I don't think they showed up Friday night. McKinley had their way, right? 44-6. McKinley. If you think about it, the McKinley quarterback's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Keaton Rohde threw for 2 touchdown passes. Nino Hill ran for 2 TDs, and the defense held Perry just 102 yards. So it was pretty tough for the Panthers.
Yeah, Jeff, as you called that game with Rod, you think about Keaton Rohde and how he's kind of developed and matured over the years, starting as a young sophomore, splitting time with the Marion Williams, and then now he's kind of leading the show. We know he's got the ability to run the football because he did that a lot exclusively. They didn't let him pass the ball a whole lot early in his career. Now he tuned up, 401 yards, I believe. The arm is live. The one thing that I noticed as well, a big offensive line in front of him.
Real big. They just looked like they were towering over the defensive line of Perry for sure. Just bigger, faster. And honestly, Rod and I even said during the broadcast that it didn't even look like they were breaking a sweat. It looked pretty easy for McKinley. They just athletes all over the place. Keaton, to your point, Keaton Rohde. I called a game for him when he was a sophomore, and to see the development is just really, I wouldn't say off the charts because he was always talented, but when you got a young, skinnier sophomore, develop into what he is now, you can tell he's put on some weight. You can tell he's got better vision. He can go 2 and 3 progressions deep, and it's just really, he's just taken 2 huge steps forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think McKinley, since that loss to Avon, which that was another lopsided one, they're starting to grow up. We always say, Jim, that you learn the most about yourself from your losses, whatever sport it may be. So they learned a lot when they lost to Avon. They were able to go down there to Dublin Kaufman, get themselves a victory after a long road trip down there. Now you come back, go over there to Perry as we opened up Federal League play. Again, I think you look at the coaching job that Antonio Hall has done, and you don't have to peak until the end of the season, right? We also know that 16 teams in every region will qualify for the playoffs. So whether you lose a couple early, it's not going to hurt you like it used to. But again, you want to peak at the right time.
No, absolutely. I mean, great point from that loss. They regrouped. Coach got them together, got them refocused, and they are focused. I mean, I'm going to tell you, obviously, what they did this past weekend. Of course, coming up this weekend, they're over with Green. Green's going to have their hands full. Yeah. But it's going to be exciting to see McKinley's a team to watch, I think, in the Federal League.
Hey, as an aside, when I was in the locker room, Jeff decided to come in with this young man, Ryder Hartshorn.
Yeah.
I got to tell you something. He really earned my respect out of the gate. This young man listened intently. He actually walked with me out of the locker room, asking me a lot of questions. And as I mentioned, he is very well chiseled.
Yeah, he is.
And he had, he's the only one. He's the only one that had a touchdown for Perry. He had a 48-yard run to set it up. But I still think that Perry, they'll get through the season okay. I just don't think they have what they had.
Yeah, and they're going to get ready to go take on Jackson this week over at Jackson, so they got to reel this thing back in quickly. Because Jackson's flying high now after getting that win over Green. And, I always keep thinking about this, Jim, when we went over there and we called that wrestling duel between St. Paris Graham and Perry, and when Ryder Hartshorn came out, it's like, whoa, is this dude even from this planet, right?
You took a second look, right? I mean, and then you had to do a double take. It was like, really?
Right, so they got to get a couple things going around him. But, as we mentioned with Keaton Rohde, as a young quarterback over at McKinley, didn't throw the ball a whole lot, used his legs. Let's talk about a young quarterback who's doing some really good things over there at Jackson. This young man, Luke Eckerman, just getting it done, leading the crew. And also, to your guys' note, as you mentioned, when you called those first two Jackson games, the defense, it feels like Jay Rohr is leading that defense because he is, and it's got that fingerprint on it.
It's like there's 11 of Jay Rohrs out there. It's pretty incredible. Everybody flies around, flies with the ball, and in my opinion, the heart of that is Wormuth.
Yep.
I think he should change his name to Math Book because he's given everybody some serious problems. He just flies all over the place. He's in every play.
Yeah.
Puts his hat on everybody.
What was awesome prior to that game, you guys know, big game, kids.
Hey, shout out to you, man, going out there with your son, senior night. That was awesome.
Nah, appreciate it, brother. Family's number one, right? I mean, we're family here, and you're right, family number one. But, it's interesting. My brother, he lives in Green. My nephew actually, helps coach over there. He calls me prior to the game, right? They're on their way, and he's like, Jimmy, what is this, a playoff game? He goes, I can't. It's like impossible getting in here. And, you were there. We were all
crowd.
there. I mean, it felt like a playoff game. Week 4, the stadium was electric. Both sides are filled. I mean, it was just an exciting contest from the kickoff to the very end.
Robert Fife is always a great place to call a game, and the community always comes out in support. We knew that was kind of the upper echelon of the Federal League. Coming into the game, Green undefeated, Jackson along with a bunch of other people, McKinley and them, all had one loss. So as we opened up Federal League play, we knew there was going to be jockeying for position, and Jackson was able to do that to be able to go over top and give Green that first loss. But for me, really, again, the defense sticking out. Our Hilsher Clark Electric player of the game was Anthony Fuline, and he had a pick six that kind of changed the entire complexion of the game. And I have to make mention here real quick that the thoughts and prayers are with Clayton Breon, the kicker from Green, who suffered a very, very devastating injury. So we're thinking about you, man. A speedy recovery. I know it's going to be a long one, and we're thinking about you here at Stark Media. I know everybody in the community is thinking about you. Green is going to end up having to take on McKinley. I know that the quarterback situation over there, Semino Manson, a little bit banged up, but they run that spread offense. Antonio Martin is healthy. You've got Mandarine out there running wide receiver with Jarrett Taylor, and also I'm forgetting the young man's name, alongside Antonio Martin, Jarrett Taylor, and Zach Baglia, who in that game last year against Jackson had 32 receptions. How many people have 32 receptions in a season, let alone a game?
It's going to be close to a record.
And I would think so.
Ohio record.
When you start to think about moving towards Week 5 and gearing up, McKinley Green is really going to be one of those that kind of tells the tale of how McKinley is going to prepare themselves for seeing Jackson in a few weeks. It's going to be over at Jackson. I know that's always been on the radar, and that's a thing that Jay Rohr looks at is we haven't had a whole lot of success against McKinley. Got to figure out a way to get that done.
Yeah. I'll tell you, that you talked about circling back about the Jackson defense, right? I mean, Green, 332 yards to Jackson's 257, but it was a bend, but they never broke.
Right.
They never broke. Another guy shot out in the defense, Mitch Brocker, 4 sacks, that last one in the fourth quarter, a shoestringer that sealed the deal. And, I'll tell you what, Coach Rohr, in the quote, he was quoted saying, our kids just go out and fight.
Right.
And like you guys have always talked about, I didn't know Coach when he played back in the day. You guys have some memories there, kind of remember that. But it's obvious he has taken on his persona. And
I still got some war wounds from trying to tackle number 32 and then trying to block him. The guy was
my goodness.
Best high school player I ever played against.
Well, and how about that first series, right? That first series, Green went down real quick, right? I mean, and I thought, I looked over at my wife and I said, wow, this could be interesting tonight. But it was like after that first series, not that it wasn't, but I mean, Jackson just kind of changed that tone. Jay made a few adjustments. And great job for the Polar Bears.
So basically, their defense is for real because the 2 games Jeff and I called, their defense. You're right. They didn't bend. I mean, excuse me, they didn't break.
There was multiple times in that game last Friday, Rod, where Green put together drives inside the red zone.
Right.
Jackson held up, kept them out.
And even week 2 against Menor, the game we called there, they were taking the ball over at Jackson's 40 or better.
Yeah.
Every time they were a couple times took over in the red zone and still didn't give up a touchdown. It was impressive.
Oh, you talked about Eckerman, right? And they could have at any point, right? Two interceptions. I think he had, in the end of that one, that by the scoreboard, that young man from Green over the shoulder, broke that up. They could have folded the tent. I mean, a little discouragement. Absolutely not, man. They come out and kept swinging, man. It was nice to see. So we'll see what happens this week, right? Perry's going to be at Jackson, man. The Panthers and the Bear fight.
It's going to be a fight, and I'll tell you one that we want to talk about here real quick which is a long-time rivalry between Hoover and Louisville. Hoover able to get it done after taking a tough loss earlier week 2 in the season to Hudson. They're getting things figured out with Kyler Miraglia, and they're going to be heading over to Glen Oak. My former Hall of Famer down here. I'm going to be inducted as a Hall of Famer on Friday night.
Congratulations, boss. Nice.
I know that Glen Oak is going to have to get a lot of things put together here because Hoover, with Carson Derland, with Kyler Miraglia, a new offensive line that's starting to figure it out, they're going to be right there in the thick of things inside of the Federal League. That
was one of their biggest questions coming in with losing pretty much everybody off on the line. And, Tim Budd even talked when we were on All Mic together earlier that it's not necessarily about being big. It's about working as a unit together. And I think they're starting to figure it out.
Well, we want to shout out a couple of our special partners here at Stark Media. Again, Miracle Motors 42, Apex Surgical, C.H. Vallis and Associates, H&H Truck Parts, LPL Financial, Lindsay's Pizza, and McNeil & Sons Tree Service. Remember, again, our good friends at Leathernecks Nation MC. Check out some of our social media stuff at Stark Media Team. They've got some Halloween stuff coming up, a big party where they're going to be giving back a lot to the veteran families in need, just like the Sam Center does every first and third Friday of the month. Over 6,000 pounds of food to veteran families in need. So check out Sam Center, also save22.vet. And as we get ready, guys, to look at Lake at Glen Oak, I think a lot of people expected after some struggles for Glen Oak that Lake would go in there and roll, but it was a tight game, and Glen Oak could have easily won that thing.
Yeah. Well, what did we talk about last week prior to? We talked about the special teams a lot and the kickers and how important that is, and it came down to Kelton Dutton being able to put one through. And,
did it again.
I didn't see the game, but wasn't Glen Oak down kind of in field goal territory towards the end and had to go for it.
Yep.
Was in that situation. So that just puts us a light on what we talked about, how important it is.
Lake, it's all about the defense, right? I mean, Coach DeGeorge is trying to do all he can. We talked about it last week, him being that master seamstress, right? Trying to stitch that offense together enough to get them the points. But it's the defense that's really been hanging and keeping Lake in games and just giving enough. I mean, shout out defensive end Ryan Lips, right? I mean, 6 sacks. Wow. He leads the team, 7 overall, 13 tackles for loss, doing a great job. That whole linebacking core, I was talking to our buddy Supus, right? Man, Supus was telling me about his linebackers. He goes, Jimmy, these are some of the 3 I've ever coached. I mean, Charlie Christopher, playing the inside, Mike, Evan Brady in the middle, and Joey Garrow on the outside, and that defense. And then the big thing last week, they brought back one of the guys that they've been missing, Dan Jarvis, defensive end.
Big time.
Dan's back. Big old smile on Soup's face, man, to see him come back onto the field. Thank goodness that young man, we talk injuries, fought back. Had a spine, some hairline fractures in the spine, but he's back, returned for injury. So, the blue streak's on their way.
Well, what's interesting is Glen Oak continues to make a lot of mental mistakes.
Yep.
And certainly Coach Garcia has mentioned that. And they've lost 3 in a row. So they really need to step up.
Well, maybe I'll have to step in there and give a pregame speech on Friday night.
Hopefully yours is better than mine.
I'm not going to say, wait a minute, don't take his speech.
I might be a little bit more excitable, man. Maybe I'll have some more colorful language for the boys up front there and the Golden Eagles. So.
Yeah. I should have probably done that.
When we talk about offensive linemen, one of the guys I think is probably your premier offensive tackle in the area. You got a guy like Dior Gardner who's over here at McKinley. Anthony Miller. And we got to see him a lot last year, Jim, in
Yeah.
wrestling. Was able to qualify for state.
Absolutely.
Anthony Miller is a big offensive tackle. I believe is committed to Air Force.
Nice.
And when you think about the protection and getting the offense going, replacing Solberger from last year, a lot of it always starts up front. And I'm sure Coach Dan DeGeorge has got to be happy with what he's got rolling up there.
No, absolutely. I mean, you got Nate Carr, right? I mean, Nate leading the Federal League right now in yards rushing. Kind of as we talk about some of our players there towards the end, you got to shout out that young man. So, nope, I think Coach DeGeorge is he's stitching it and keep it going.
That's what you have to do at this level, right? That's a sign of a good high school coach.
Right.
You're going to have some injuries to key guys, and you got to reload all the time. It's not the NFL where you can have a guy for 6 years and you know what you can expect.
I mean,
you got to play sophomores sometimes. And you got to figure it out.
That's just a game of football, right, Rod? I mean, injuries are going to be a part of it. It happens. You can't tell or look in a crystal ball on when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen throughout. Whether it hits you early in the season or late, next man up. What do they say? Be prepared. When your number is called, you better be ready to go.
I played on a team in 1979 that we were, I think, 12th in the country after 3 games, and we had just a litany of injuries.
Yep.
And certainly we didn't remain ranked after that, right? So
Went the other way.
All right.
Hey, wait a minute. Before you leave that, TJ, I got to back just a little bit. Did I just say Nate Carr? I think
You did, because I got you stuck on wrestling, man.
You did. You brought that wrestling. Nate, I apologize,
Nate
brother.
Baker?
Yes, Mr. Baker, Nate Baker, the running back there for Lake. I got to wear wrestling shirts, right? I mean, but again,
I we'll give you a little wrestling taste here before we take this thing to break. That we know that Iowa State and Nate and the boys, they're going to be coming to Perry. They're going to be wrestling over there. They're going to be hosting a wrestling, I believe it's a duel, maybe an invitational. There is going to be some high-end wrestling over there with Iowa State coming in. So we know everything about it, Nate and his dad David, all that they've done. I mean, a ton of success. So there we go. We'll fit the Nate Carrs of the world in right now.
We can't say too much about this, right? But down the road, Stark Media is going to have an exclusive announcement about a potential synergy event between wrestling and football. So we'll leave that teaser for later.
We love Stark Media exclusives around here.
Amen, brother.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk some more football here, talk a little bit about some of our PAC and EBC teams from last week, and then we're going to get ready to start analyzing what we will see here coming up on Friday night. So we're live here inside of the Presentation Center at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll be back with more after this. Power outages can happen at any time without warning and can leave your home powerless for days. Hilscher Clark has partnered with Generac to bring you the #1 selling home standby generator brand, engineered and built in the USA since 1959. With a home standby generator, your home will never lose power again. Generac generators activate automatically in the event of any power loss and restore power to your home within seconds. Don't leave your home unprotected. Trust only the best. Hilscher Clark's residential division are experts in their profession and go above and beyond to provide you with quality, efficient service at a fair price. Starting with the estimate, they keep you informed regarding status and completion of your projects. They also give you shorter arrival windows and send you email and text confirmations of your scheduled service appointment, as well as notifications when their electricians are on their way to your home. Hilscher Clark's Google reviews speak for themselves, with more than 270 reviews and 4.9 stars. And if you've just recently purchased an electric vehicle but don't want to rely on public chargers to keep your battery full, Hilscher Clark has all the juice you can handle for your home vehicle charging needs. Hilscher Clark is a certified Q Merit Solutions partner, making them market leaders in electrification and recommended by local dealerships. Visit them online at www.hilscher-clark.com. That's HILSCHER-CLARKE.com. Or stop down and see them at 519 4th Street Northwest in downtown Canton. Or contact Hilscher Clark today at 330-452-9806. That's 330-452-9806. Remember, it's your home, it's our family. Trust only the best. Hilscher Clark Electric Company.
McNeil & Sons Tree Service serves the greater Northeast Ohio area by keeping your property clear all year round. you have trees that have stretched too close to your home, a rotted tree that has to go, or perhaps even storm damage, no job is too big or small for McNeil & Sons. We specialize in large tree removal, storm damage, stump grinding, land clearing, and more. McNeil & Sons Tree Service is fully licensed and insured, so contact us today at 330-606-1126 for all your tree care needs, or visit us online at mcneiltree.com to schedule your free quote. The professionals at McNeil & Sons can inform you of your tree health and give you a risk assessment to keep your family protected. So call today, 330-606-1126. McNeil & Sons Tree Service, a company you can depend on with family you can trust.
The Fraternal Order of Eagles number 190 in Massillon wants you. Stop down to the Massillon ARE at 303 Wyrick Boulevard Northwest. And like our over 1,800 members experience daily, your Eagles membership will give you access to great food and drink specials. Having a party? Host it in our banquet facility and seat up to 400 people. When you're coming through downtown Massillon, stop by the Eagles and sign up. And for a small fee, you'll have access and be a part of a fraternity that donates over $100,000 a year to local charities. The Fraternal Order of Eagles ARE number 190 in downtown Massillon. Stop by or call us today at 330-832-7385. Welcome back to the Pro Football Hall of Fame and Stark Media High School Football Weekly. We're here inside of the Presentation Center. Myself, TJ Downing, joined by Jim Bostic, Jeff Tyler, and Rod Strata, and we're breaking down high school football. We're going to turn the page here now and get ready for Week 5. Ohio High School Football, Week 5 already halfway through the season, but it's starting to heat up, and the action's going to get thick down south, guys, as we take that trip down 43. You know, the Sandy Valley Cardinals, obviously playing Minerva. Minerva's been struggling a little bit, trying to get things back going in the right direction, but Sandy Valley was able to beat up on them last week after suffering a loss, a close one, and just a heck of a ball game when they played Canton South the week before. They're going to take on Malvern, who is undefeated, who is ranked 3rd in the state. Jim, you've got some numbers from Malvern last week. You know, they battled it out with Tusky Valley. It was a close one, and I think that may be what can help them in this ballgame. Nonetheless, hosting, being at home, it always helps, but you've kind of been tested through the fire now, and you're getting ready to play a really good Sandy Valley football team.
No, absolutely. And I think the big thing, as they said about Malvern, is every week it's dialing up, right? And, man, you're going 3-1 with Sandy Valley. Of course, they took on Canton South last week. Before I give you your numbers real quick, got to shout out my son's future father-in-law, Randy Hubbard. Randy down in Malvern, big Malvern guy. And if you guys looking for a dentist, Dr. Josh Bostic, just chilling out there. Okay, anyhow, back to real numbers. So, no, last week, as you said, Malvern beating Tusky Valley 27-20. But I'll tell you what, guys, that came in the last 30 seconds of the game. Withrow throws to Dylan Phillips, 30 seconds left, puts them up. They take it in, finish it up. Overall that night, Withrow had a great night, 21-27, 277 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, did a great job. Threw the ball around his receivers. Dylan Phillips had 14 catches, 166 yards. Rodney Smith, 4 catches, 97 yards. And defensively, this Charles Motts, man, 11 tackles, leading that defense over there for them. And, coach, the head coach there, Matt, I'm going to say it wrong,
Churko.
Churko, okay.
My old buddy, man. I'm a Malvern guy. I grew up down at Lake Mohawk.
That's right, you're right. Yeah,
I used to run with Matt Churko back in the day.
Did you know Randy? No, never mind. But no, and he's right. This is one of the better small town rivalry games. So it's going to be awesome.
The one thing that kind of sticks out to me, we've talked about it before, guys. You look at a school like Tuslaw when you got a couple big offensive linemen. Our boy Chaz over there. Malvern's got some dudes up there, right? Kyle Bosert. You've got Drake Hutchison, who gets in the backfield a lot. These guys are kind of the 1-2 combo that allows Motts to be able to do what he does. This is going to be a big test. Sandy Valley, the group that they have. I mean, Chad Davis runs the rock hard.
Yep.
What can you say more about Petro? This dude was all over the place 2 weeks ago. Very easily could have won the ball game, took some shots, kept getting back up, going to the line of scrimmage, and endearing himself to his team because, you take those shots, you get up a little bit slow, But by the time the ball was snapped, the dude was 100 miles an hour again. So a lot to like about him. I know Coach Brian Gamble is going to be excited rolling in there. And, yeah, you mentioned, just a few miles down the road from each other, man. Only Waynesburg and Chibo's separates them. So stop for a couple meatballs, get a little sauce, load them up, and this is going to be a fun game.
Well, talk with Coach Gamble, leadership, right? Last year he goes on the field, one senior on that team. That, obviously this year 15, so, a lot of leadership there, and it shows with their 3-1 record.
Jeff, this is going to be a good one here coming up. CVCA at Canton South. That's where you guys are going to be at.
Yeah.
You had a chance to see a little bit of CVCA football last year.
Yep.
They returned a lot of dudes. I only believe just the running back is the only one that didn't come back.
Running back and quarterback is all they graduated. Every single other position, and I mean every position is back. And CVCA was tough last year. We know, the way, was it Kyle Snyder, right? Last year was the running back. Got a full ride. He's wrestling up at Kent State, so you might be seeing him a little bit. He was a grown man. But whenever they're got more holes than a pool table in the offensive line, you can run the wall with just about anybody. So CVCA, not surprising, their only loss is to Streetsboro, who beat Alliance.
Yep.
So it's going to be a barn burner. It really is. I'm looking forward to seeing those two go head to head.
Rod, Canton South, again, we just talked about it, that able to roll in there to Sandy Valley, get a victory. Up front, guy by the name of Max Cochran really stuck out to me. 6'4", 290 pounds, and when you have a guy like Poochie Schneider, the quarterback, who very easily could end up setting records in the area. He's already got school records, but when you look at potentially who may be Stark Area Player of the Year, Poochie Schneider's hat is going to be in there. But having an offensive lineman that's 6'4", 290 pounds to go along with some weapons like Tavon Castle, and you've got Culver coming out of the backfield, Coach Dennison's got a squad there.
I'll tell you what, when you have a good offensive line or a couple really good leaders on the offensive line that you're mentioning, it's such a bonus, because especially with a quarterback like Poochie Schneider, you have to have the whole package. He can't do it by himself, as you know, as a former lineman, and they have to get after it. And I do think that CVCA is going to have their hands full. Now, going back to that Sandy Valley game, my understanding was, there's a little struggle. It was a back and forth, right?
Yep.
And so Canton South didn't really run away with it, but they won.
Yeah.
So they played well. They blocked well.
They did just a little bit more to be able to win that football game.
Here's what I'm interested to see, though, because I think CVCA is always a tough matchup for Canton South because of the style of play.
Yep.
They tend to run the rock a lot. They take the air out of it. Poochie's going to get less opportunities than against Sandy Valley. Sandy Valley, is going to be 42-48 or high scoring, either way. It's just, I think it's a tough matchup. CVCA knocked off Canton South last year in overtime. I wouldn't be surprised if CVCA went in there, Canton South, and took care of business.
I had a chance, Rod, to talk to Matt Trissel, who's a legend down there at Canton South. A great football player, was on the basketball team with Ronnie Berkwin when they went down there. Columbus played against LeBron James and St. V. And he really he started to talk about this game last week when they were going to play Orville, and he said, this can be a great game, TJ. Orville is – they were down a little bit after, I'm drawing a blank here, was it Marquell Parks was the great running back they had just a few years ago. He was gone, and then that, Orville kind of fell off for about a year or two. He thought that they were going to do more, Rod, and you think about guys like Ethan Fricky, Landon Karovic. These dudes on defense for Canton South, man, they shut Orville down last week.
Well, that's amazing, because the good news is Canton South's averaging 43 points a game.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that defense, if they're shutting people down and they can continue with that momentum against CVCA, I'm not saying they will, but if they can, that defense should have a good field day.
Yeah, the formula, I guess, right, would say if you can hold CVCA under 4 touchdowns, you should win the ball game if you're averaging 43. Not easier said than done, right?
Assuming you're going to have time of possession.
Yeah, yep.
Assuming you're going to, Poochie Snyder's going to have the rock. We know he can score on anybody in the county.
Now, that's at Canton South, right?
It is, yes.
So what do you think, 12th man? I mean, little home cooking, that gonna help out?
Could be. I'll tell you what, they always pack in a great crowd at Canton South.
Yeah.
So I know that they're expecting the 12th man to show up and be there, but how well will CVCA travel down? I mean, you're talking with 30 to 40 minute trip down, right?
Fan-wise, they travel well.
Okay.
CVCA will be packed. There's no doubt about it.
I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to working with you on that one, Jeff. That'll be a lot of fun Friday
It's going to be a barn burner.
Friday night, we will have Jim Bostic. He will be out at Jackson as the Perry Panthers roll in there. I'm going to be over at Glen Oak High School as the Hoover Vikings are welcomed in. We used to call them the Pumpkinheads.
You did?
We always looked at them as more of our rival than Perry. You know, we play Perry in Week 10. Hoover plays Jackson in Week 10. But with Hoover, with North Canton and playing local being right next to each other, I mean, that was what we felt our rivalry was. And we used to have some absolute bangers, man. And I know that Glen Oak, again, you got to get some things figured out here. But when you're playing at home, you know, Hoover's coming in. They're going to be excited. They don't like each other. So, you know, when you think about how this game might shake out, you know, the way Glen Oak played against Lake last week, maybe this is the time that they get that victory.
Yeah, and they'll have Avante Burke back as well. So, or Adrian. So
Adrian will be back. I know Jamal Johnson, a nice running back. French up front. Those guys, they got to get things rolling. So,
And they're coming out of the locker room with a pep talk, a speech by the Hall of Famer.
I'm going to get the fog machine out.
HOF.
And, you know,
You're going to let us read your words?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
HOF 72 in the house.
You know, we'll have to put the mute button, the 5-second delay on there.
my.
A couple
I don't know if
times.
Are you changing your autograph now to HOF 72?
I was going to ask you, Rod. Did you do some autographs while you were there last week? No.
I'm like Red Grange. They don't know.
I had to.
They thought he was Doug Lance. They didn't even know he's Rod Strata.
How about that one?
I had
Educate
to
him.
pull
That's all.
him. Had to pull him up into the booth because everybody was saying hi to him. I'm like, come on, Rod. No autographs. Let's do it after the game.
No. Hey, look.
Yeah, you guys deserve it, man.
It was cool.
Perry has had tremendous programs, and I'm just a minuscule part of it. But you're going to enjoy being in that Hall of Fame, TJ. Congratulations.
Big time, man. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be out there. As I mentioned, these guys will be over there at Canton South, CVCA at Canton South. You'll be able to catch Rod and Jeff over there. Make sure to check us out on our website over at starkmedia.tkdssports.com. You'll be able to catch all those games streaming live starting at 6:45 on Friday evening. All right, we're going to step aside, take a quick break. When we come back, we will break down the rest of the games coming up. There's a big one going on over at Massillon. St. Ed's, one of the
St. Ed.
Well, you can say St. Ed's, but you
Apostrophe
can't,
S.
say Edwards. So I found that out. So yeah, I was schooled on that. So one gets an S, the other doesn't. But I'll tell you what, Coach Lombardo has a hell of a team up there, and they are ranked in the country. Not only state, looking for that third consecutive state championship, but they'll have to deal with the Massillon Tigers coming up on Friday night. So we will be back here inside of the Presentation Center at the Pro Football Hall of Fame right after this. Stay with us. The leader in quality drivetrain components, H&H Truck Parts is a name you can trust. Located in Valley View, Ohio at 5500 South Cloverleaf Parkway, H&H can handle all your heavy-duty truck needs. Come in and exchange your transmission, differential, or power steering gearbox. But that's not all. H&H is equipped to handle all your parts needs. Permco pumps, Muncie PTOs, Neapco U-joints, Spicer yokes, new Eaton clutches, and more. Let the professionals at H&H Truck Parts handle your transmission or differential installation in one of their 6 service bays. Specializing in drivetrain repairs, stop by and have your drive shaft balanced, flywheel resurfaced, or your clutch installed alongside the best transmissions and differentials on the road. You know why they're the best? Because H&H is Ohio's largest purchaser of Eaton Fuller parts. Need a blower or a pump? H&H distributes Paragon and Permco brands. Names you can trust with your livelihood on the road. Call H&H Truck Parts today for the leader in heavy-duty truck parts and service. Call locally at 216-642-4540. Toll free at 800-601-4540 or check them out online at hhtruckparts.com.
At C.H. Vallis & Associates, we've been proudly serving the greater Stark County community for over 78 years. Locally owned, we cover your home, auto, business, and life insurance along with your group benefits. Our partnership with auto owners has allowed us to span not only Ohio, but throughout the entire country. Did you know that Auto Owners, an A++ rated company by AM Best and a Fortune 500 company, has ranked C.H. Vallis & Associates a top 10 insurance agency in the state of Ohio? From your basic home and auto needs to insuring some of the largest companies in America, there's a reason people choose C.H. Vallis & Associates, and auto owners. Our dedication and passion for our clients and their coverage is part of our commitment to excellence. For all your insurance coverage needs, there's only one call to make, and that's C.H. Vallis & Associates, located at 1302 South Main Street in North Canton. Contact us at 330-494-2776 today and see the difference in customer satisfaction.
You came to Stark Media for the best? Well, now you got it. Check out Lindsay's Pizza on 2827 Whipple Avenue Northwest inside of the Hillsdale Shopping Center. The preferred post-game pizza of the Stark Media team is open until 11 p.m., and it has all the essentials for game day. Pizza, chicken, salads, and sandwiches are just a click away at lindsayspizza.com. But you should trust a former Ohio State All-American and just call them right now at 330-477-3800. 477-3800. This is TJ Downing for Lindsay's Pizza, and I approve this message. Welcome back into the Pro Football Hall of Fame inside of the Presentation Center. I'm TJ Downing, joined by Jim Bostic again, Jeff Tyler and Rod Strata with us as we get ready to break down what's coming up here on Friday night, Week 5 of Ohio High School football, and it's brought to you by Hilsher Clark Electric Company and the Eagles FOE 190 in downtown Massillon. Let's talk about downtown Massillon. It might be rocking on Friday night.
Boy.
Coach Lombardo is going to come rolling in with the Eagles, and St. Ed's is just it's a different type of animal, right? You've got 4 guys that are Big Ten commits. You're talking about a Michigan dude, an Ohio State dude, two Ohio State brothers, the Armstrong brothers,
right?
3.
And then you talk about Soltis, who's in there at the center spot.
Yeah.
You know, this is that's just, it's kind of unheard of, right? You know, and I'm really interested to see how this Massillon defensive line handles it. Our good guy, JP Simon, make sure to check him out in all of his different businesses in downtown Massillon. Simon Says Promotions, Spirit of Start, go there for all of your apparel. Check out the Tiger Store, Brits Bows, all of them. JP and his defensive line, it's one of the better ones they've had. You know, you've got Cody Fair, you've got Pringle in the middle of the defense, you've got Page on the back end with Hackenbrack, but up front, he's told me that Mike Wright might be the strongest defensive lineman he's ever had and ever seen at the high school level. You've got a guy committed to NC State, Chase Bond, who's coming off the edge, who's going to be working against another Division I guy. And that's something that I'm kind of going to be keying in on here because, you know, it's easy when you're going against dudes that aren't going to be playing at the next level like that. You know, when you're going against a dude that's going to be doing the same things on Saturdays that you are, we're going to find out a little bit about this young man.
Absolutely.
So
you and Rod have got to be like just smiling ear to ear. I mean, this is like the trenches, baby, huh?
That's
where it happens, right?
That's where it all happens. Think about this one for a minute. Massillon has outscored their opponents in the last 3 games, 162-17.
Wow.
Unreal.
How about that? And they were averaging 228 yards, 278 rushing a game.
I'll tell you, offensive line-wise, that's one of the best offensive lines around in the county.
Think about that. 278-yard average. That doesn't come from a weak offensive line. That comes from a premier offensive line.
Yep.
Well, this is a true heavyweight battle. Both sides of the ball, every position, like you said, TJ. The Armstrong brothers for Ed's going to Ohio State, the center going to Ohio State, Robeck going to that team up north. We won't discuss them.
Yep.
No, we don't talk about that.
You know, but even on the defensive side of the ball, Logan Thomas is going to Notre Dame. Troy Rekovich is going to Northwestern. They've got big-time players on both sides of the ball. It's going to be a heck of a battle.
Yeah, and St. Ed's is the Division I state champion from last
back
year.
to back. And then you've got Tom Lombardo that you brought up. He's got 5 state titles himself. Mm-hmm. He's the only state Ohio high school football coach to have a state title at multiple schools. Wow. 2001, he got one with Menor Lake Catholic, and then now he's got 4 at St. Ed's, and Ed's has 6 total. So it's pretty pretty amazing.
You know, and Coach Moore is still playing that 2 quarterback rotation. I mean, you know, they're into week 4, and then they're still running that Slaughter-Owens back and forth. You know, 1 series for Slaughter, 1 series for Owens. Again, you know, Tim and I were blessed to call that game at Glen Oaks, but to see those 2 young men, like I shared with you guys, man, it looks like twins. You don't, I mean, they're
both 2 lefties, right?
Yeah, both left-handed. They both command. And I'll tell you what, you talked about the running game, right? Owens, leading rusher on that team with 426 yards, 6 touchdowns.
You called a game there this year, right?
Yeah, we did.
Did they ever have a package where Owens went right to the running back?
No.
in running, or
Not
they
that
totally
I
switch?
Yeah, no. They just
Slaughter
totally,
QB.
Yes.
We saw that at Lake last year
Yes.
with Butler. Things like that.
Coach Lombardo, after that 2001 state championship, had the pleasure of coaching me in the North-South All-Star game, and that was the first time I got a chance to really meet him and understand his game. And he's done a great job up there taking over for Coach Gibbons, who was our head coach in that ball game. But Coach Nate Moore, with all that they had to deal with coming into the season, a lot of things going on over there, kind of cleared the air, and now you get back to business. You get back to playing football, and again, defensively, this may be, and it's kind of funny to say this because they've had some really good teams over there, let's say the last 7-8 years, and this may be the best defense that they've had. That's saying a whole lot.
They're going to get really tested this week with that offensive line of Ed's. It's probably the best offensive line they're going to face all season.
Yeah.
Massillon's only allowing 69.8 yards per game rushing. So
and 8.5 points a game.
Right.
I mean,
so this is going to be a battle of the Titans, as you mentioned. Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Josh Grottle, who runs the ball for Eds, I'm not maybe the best running back that Massillon has ever seen, but again, behind a big offensive line, it's going to be tough, and it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing shakes out, man. We're excited for it. I know the Eagles FOE 190 in downtown Massillon is ready for it. A lot of our good friends around that area, they're going to be excited because there'll be a lot of people packed in as we get ready for that ball game. Another one that kind of sticks out to me here, guys. Central Catholic, they always play up. And I think that's what really kind of helps them once they get to the playoffs because, you're in a lower division and you've seen guys like Perry when you opened up. You're going to see Alliance this week with Brendan Zerbrug. They come off of they bounce back from the loss to Streetsboro, get things going in the right direction. You're going to take on Central Catholic, who's always tough. They're never going to quit. They got a lot of fight in them. How do you guys see this game shaking out?
Well, I tell you, the Central quarterback, Brandon Bretz, he's 24-58 for 414 yards and 5 TDs.
He's settling in after transferring in from East Canton.
He's doing very well. Betts also runs for a team-high 182 yards and 35 carries. So you're right, TJ. Central never gives up. Back even when I was in the playing way back when, Central's always had a great team, right? I think that foundation's from Lowell Kleinfelder all those years.
Oh, yeah.
And they're keeping the tradition going on. Alliance, as you mentioned, they got a heck of a quarterback that's going to Oklahoma.
Yep.
yeah, there you go.
Boomer Sooner.
Jeff, your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, Central's definitely, even what you would think is maybe going to be a down year with everybody they lost, they're still hanging in there. They got a lot of pride over there. They got 2 state championships to hang their hat on, and that program's not going anywhere, and those players aren't going anywhere. We talked about Boron.
3 of them, partner.
Central has 3?
Yeah, 3 of them. Back in '88, you had one in with Vince Gliata when they beat Van Wert, and then Coldwater.
My bad. I thought they had 2.
Wow.
And when you talk about some of those records around here, I believe Jeff Lindesmith, he is the only active head coach in Stark County who has a state championship to his credit. So there's some good things over there. It's going to be a fun game. I know I had a chance to catch up today. Was over at Walsh University with Cam Hollabaugh, who, you want to talk about a record, I think maybe the only player to win the Great Midwest Athletic Conference Player of the Week in both baseball and just did it in football this past week.
Wow.
Had a pick 6, had 2 interceptions in that ball game when they went down to Johnson C. Smith University and got the dub. So Cam Hollabaugh, I know, will be keying in on his former football team, Warren JFK, as they get ready to take on Marlington. Not going to be an easy one for the Dukes. So Warren JFK is always kind of in the driver's seat when it comes to, I believe they're down in Division 7. You see him in the state championship games throughout the year. Saw him in it last year against New Bremen. That's going to be a tough battle for the Dukes.
Well, those country boys down there always bring it. They're in every game, whether they've got talent on the field or not.
True.
And as of late, they've had some talent. So I don't expect them to go away.
I mean, they're started strong. They believe in themselves. They believe in their coach. They're side by side. So it will be a battle for sure.
And they're really not that far from each other distance-wise. You think about it. It's a short hop.
Yeah.
From Warren to
You're
Marlington,
right. So another game coming up, Fairless. The Falcons, they're going to take on Northwest. It's AJ Sarball and the crew. They got a really tough, hard-fought victory over Triway.
Very.
setting the record for him.
Yeah.
I believe 33 victories.
Right.
Now the all-time winningest coach at Fairless. I know that some injuries have kind of added up there. I believe they're maybe down to the third running back. When you're getting ready to play Northwest, who's kind of feeling good about themselves here right now, getting some things done, taking care of business. Fairless is going to have another one here with their hands full.
And they after this game, they still got to go to play CVCA. They still got to play South. They've got a tough schedule ahead of them, and they're trying to fill a lot of gaps with graduating 18 seniors, and they're playing a lot of young guys on defense. So a lot of extra yak yards for some players there. But Northwest has lost a lot too. Northwest lost their entire offensive line.
Yep.
Maragula transfers out. I think that's going to be a good game just based on what both teams are dealing with.
I'm going to give you one name, Connor Satterfield.
Yeah.
The dude.
I mean, I watched him in person and what he did over there at Louisville. Had a great game against Manchester. I know it's not the Manchester of old, and I realize that. But
you've got the product that transferred in from Manchester, Pappas, right? The quarterback, and you got a chance to get eyeballs on him, and he's a tough player. Only a sophomore, I believe, right?
Sophomore, that's what's amazing, right? Think about Jackson's quarterback, Eckerman, sophomore. I mean, look what that kid's done, right? Big game coming up. Just had one. You got Pappas over at Northwest, but I'm telling you guys, Satterfield stays healthy. Falcons, that front line better be ready to ramp.
And they're both 2-2 coming to this game.
No.
So they're split even, and they're
somebody's going over 500, somebody's going under 500.
Right.
Here we go.
They're both 1-0 in the conference, but
we've got a lot of math going on in this show.
Yeah. They said that there wasn't going to be a whole lot of math.
They say we big dumb offensive linemen don't know how to do math. So I just want to prove a little point to you.
No, you was 13-1 and 6-8. I know that.
Speaking of math, you just did that.
Well,
right.
I was just We'll get to that later.
Well, let's get to the pick'ems then. If we're going to start doing a little bit of math, let's start tallying the votes here. Let's throw one out here. I know Garaway. They are a tough opponent for East Canton. Had a chance to hang out with my boy Donnie Ballgame last night. Don Hertler, had a chance to see him. I know he's a very proud Garaway guy. Was part of an undefeated team over there, and Garaway's is going to be a tough challenge for Coach Spider Miller in East Canton. How do you guys see it going?
Garaway's tough year in and year out. They just always put a good product on the field. I got Garaway in that one.
Yeah, last week I took East Canton. Superintendent Finnefrock shouted him out, but sorry, Soup. I'm going to have to go the other way, man. I'm going with Garaway this week.
Yeah, same here. I went with East Canton last week, and Garaway's my pick.
I'm going with Garaway as well. All right, let's get one that's going to be a little tighter here inside of Stark County, Northwest and Fairless. I'm gonna lead this one off here for you guys. I think Northwest is going to start to they're again feeling themselves a little bit here. Ran a great touchdown club. Northwest Touchdown Club president Rick Wright told me that the guys they're starting to figure it out. So I'm taking Northwest over Fairless.
I've called the game. I've seen them. I know Fairless is your stomping grounds and everything. It's at Fairless, but I'll tell you what. I think I'm going to take the visitors myself. I'm going Northwest.
Give me my Falcons, baby. Give me my Falcons.
There we go. Now we split it.
Coming.
I'm with the two gentlemen on my right. I'm going to go with the Indians as well.
All right, St. Ed's, Massillon.
Oh boy.
Last year I said that Massillon will win, and they did. I'm taking Eds. I think Eds is coming into Massillon, and here's what I love about Eds: they have the guts to play Massillon on the road 2 years in a row. They said, we don't care, we'll go back.
Yeah.
Their stadium only seats 5,000-6,000, where Massillon is 18,000.
Yeah.
So
It's beautiful.
I'm taking Eds.
What about you, Rod?
He already told us what he's got. He's got his orange shirt on.
That's
so.
right. I am jumping on the Tigers.
Taking the Tigers,
Yes,
are you?
sir.
Okay.
Tiger train.
I'll tell you what's amazing is when you guys talk about three of those linemen from Ed's going to Ohio State together. Think about that synergy, when those guys gel down there. And I understand you guys know better than anybody, right? There's a lot of ifs, ands, and whats and buts. Mm-hmm. But, I'll tell you what, I think there's a few more horses on the Ed side. I'm going to go with the Eagles.
Offensive lineman know it best, man. I'm sticking with Strata, man. I'm going with the Massillon Tigers.
Wow, we could have a swing this week,
wow.
baby.
All right, Green at McKinley. Green trying to bounce back here after a close loss to Jackson. McKinley flying pretty high after a big win over Perry.
I'll go first. I'm taking McKinley. McKinley just looks dominant. and I think that they're going to impose their will.
Yeah, McKinley gelled a little bit with Perry, so I'm going to take the Bulldogs.
Yeah, being at that game, watching Green, I know they got a lot of weapons. Manson doing a nice job back there. But I'll tell you what, I think the McKinley Bulldogs a little bit more mature than the Green Bulldogs. So I'm going McKinley.
Yep, I'm going to take McKinley myself. I think.
By the way, that's the Bulldogs I was mentioning, McKinley.
Yeah, wait a minute. Can we go back to that?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Clarify that one.
Yeah, I think Rod had Green.
I had M Bull, not G Bull.
The battle of the Bulldogs. All right, I'm going to take McKinley. Hey, how about CVCA at Canton South last week? I apologize. I took Orville. I'm going to go with Canton South this week. I think they've got it figured out, man. Poochie Schneider, tough to deal with. I think the defense, they're hitting on all cylinders. Coach Dennison calls a great game. Home field advantage. I like Canton South in this game.
I'm going to follow right behind you, Tej. I mean, I know, Canton South is no Tuslaw, and I know CVCA's got a good team. They like you said, Jeff, they travel well. Mm-hmm. But I'm with you. I think the home crowd is going to really play a part here, and it's just going to get those guys fired. The electricity's going to go. I'm going with Canton South.
I think this may be Canton South's only loss going into playoffs.
Okay.
So I'm going to take CVCA. I think, like you said, I think they travel well. I think they play the style of ball that kind of makes it tough for Canton South. So I'm going CVCA.
Well, it's going to make it fun in the booth then, Jeff, because I'm going to go with the Wildcats. And
now you guys got something to talk about.
There we go.
Something to talk about a little bit up there.
There we go, brother. All right.
All right, Sandy Valley, Malvern. How do you see it shaking out? I'm going with my Hornets. I say my Hornets. I mean, I never played ball for them down there. I transferred out by seventh grade, but I really like what Coach Matt Churko's doing, man. I think they got a lot of talent on that team. It's going to be a close one, but I like the Hornets. Home field advantage again.
This is a tough one. I'm going Sandy Valley.
Really? Any reason why? Or
well,
he's got that feeling.
Yeah,
he's tingling.
Yeah, he's got the feeling.
They just don't have many weaknesses. They go 5 wide. They're got a good quarterback. They can run the rock. They can play defense. I think that they can get it done.
I got the same tingle. Sorry, Jeff. I definitely. I mean, you go back to that Canton South Sandy Valley game. What a game! Really, as Rod pointed out, very tight down to the wire. A lot of respect for Malvern. Absolutely, obviously, my future daughter-in-law is from Malvern, so I'm sorry, Morgan, but I'm going with the Cardinals.
Let's see. Malvern's 4-0, right?
Yep,
undefeated. And Sandy Valley has lost 1 to Canton South.
Yep.
So it's a toss-up, but I'm going to go with I think a Hornet is a little bit meaner than a Cardinal. So I'm going to go with the Hornets.
Not going to lie to that
Stingers out down at Brown Local, man. We'll see how it all shakes out. Big week of Ohio high school football coming up here, week 5. Okay, let's look at Hoover at Glen Oak. Will the speech work?
Oh, boy.
I got to go with the Golden Eagles. You got to get it done. You got to figure it out eventually. Scott Garcia is that type of coach, that type of guy that will, try and rally the troops. I think maybe just a little bit of confidence. You can take confidence away from a loss, right? Even though you lost by 3 to Lake, I think you find some points in that game that you feel that maybe you should have won that, and I think it's going to carry over to this week, plus the speech that I'm going to give. So the Golden Eagles are going to win.
I got all the respect for TJ's speech, man. I really do. And
I already know where this is going.
Yeah, and I don't disagree that I think that Glen Oak just needs to work as a unit, to work as a team, right? We're not 11 individual guys. We got to go be as one, if you will. But I'll tell you what, I called that first game against Hoover and Buchtold. Great game. Derlin's doing a nice job over there. Yes, I know they lost. AJ, right? Dolph, is out for the season. Hard. I hope he's back for wrestling. But anyhow, I'm going with the Vikings. I must say that Hoover is going to go in and they're going to take care of business.
I'm with you there. I think that Glen Oak has some things they need to fix on both sides of the ball. I think that Hoover has their stuff together, if you will, and I think they're gonna go into Glen Oak and upset the Hall of Fame induction.
Ruin my evening.
I'd like to go with Glen Oak, but
Boy.
Glen Oak outgained Lake by 159 yards and lost the game.
Ooh.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, on the other side, quoting Garcia, he felt his defense performance was the best one in about 3 years. He only gave up 132 yards. Okay. and 8 first downs. However, I am going to go with the Vikings. Hoover Vikings.
I think your speech needs to focus on mental mistakes. No mental mistakes.
Don't drop the football. Secure the football.
Secure the ball.
Don't hit somebody out of bounds.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Tuslaw is going to welcome in Triway. Triway is going to try and bounce back after a tough loss to Fairless. I like what Tuslaw is doing. Triway is always a tough opponent. How do you guys see it?
Well, if you'd asked me this at the beginning of the year, I would have said Tuslaw for sure. Triway's had their struggles over the last year or so, but they really played tough last week. I'm going to stick with my guy Chaz and Tuslaw Mustangs. I got to.
Wow. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I know they're going in. Tuslaw had a tough week last week with CVCA, coming back home, going to get the crowd involved. But I'll tell you what, Triway's, started the season pretty strong, plus, my kid just moved to Triway, so I got to start, I know, I'm sorry. I tried, man. Guys, I tried to repopulate a county, Rod. It's what we do. My wife and I, we didn't have TV at the time. But,
that's right.
Yeah, I'm taking Triway.
Yeah,
Getting out of this conversation gracefully.
Yeah. Just so you know, Spectrum has been after him forever because he's never had cable TV. So I'm going to go with the Tuslaw Mustangs as well at home.
I like Tuslaw as well. I think they get it done. For Perry, to try and bounce back after getting smacked around a little bit last week. They're going to go into Jackson, and Jackson's feeling really good about themselves right now, sitting at the top of the Federal League. I think Jackson gets that one done.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. That would be my suggestion to Coach Rohr is that when you're in that, getting those guys together, don't take last week beating an undefeated Green team saying that was our Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right. You got a lot of games to play, and I know Jay, will bring them down to, keep them
Perry
grounded.
Jackson is always a competitive football
freaking
game.
tough. I mean, Jackson won last year in overtime with a 2-point conversion. I mean, it is always a good game. I'll tell you what, though, I'm behind the sophomore. I think the kid's for real. He's, it's going to be exciting to watch him grow these next 2 years, Mr. Eckerman. So, hey, I want to hang in there with my Bears. I'll be calling that. I'm excited for that up there. So let's go, Bears.
You took a lot of the words out of my mouth with the matchup. I think Jackson just has too much. The only thing I would be concerned about, like you said, is what they did last week and not getting that hangover. But we know how Jay Rohr is, and we've seen them videos of him in the locker room before, and in halfway he's not going to let that happen.
Fiery character.
I got Jackson.
Perry's going to have to figure out how to come out and do something along with the wing tee and not just the wing tee. It seems like every team thus far, when I say every team, St. V, McKinley, they've all adjusted.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be working at this point, right? I have to go with Jackson as well, and sorry, Coach Slates. It's because McKinley basically threw the ball at will. Okay?
Right.
And I think Jackson can do the same. And with that threat with Luke Eckerman, they can also, like I said before, I mentioned something the other night, that most times teams need to have a running game to have a great passing game. In Jackson's case, I think they have a great passing game. They had a better running game.
Mm-hmm. Well, and over the top was open all night with McKinley against Perry, and that's a strength of Jackson. One thing that we talked about in the booth, I even asked Rod, is the wing tee, it's almost a hybrid of the wing tee. It's not really their traditional wing tee, and then they're trying to throw the ball a little bit more. I think they've always had the identity of being a running team and running the wing tee, and it's almost like their identity is kind of
and Austin Maddox is not a bad quarterback.
Not at all. Not at all.
But again, that kid from the running back from Perry should have a decent game, but I'm still going to go with Jackson. Yeah,
it seems like you mentioned St. V, Rod, that everybody after the Central game made it a job that we are not going to let Ryder Hartshorn get outside on us. We're not going to let him get the edge, force everything back in between tackles, and kind of seems to be the recipe in trying to stop number 25. So I think Jackson gets it done as well, and that's going to do it for us here as well.
Wait a minute. Before we leave the Pick'em segment, we have to have an update from week one. Would you not say, Mr. Tyler?
Yeah. I think we went 13.
Our fans want to know. Stark Media fans want to know, how did week one go?
I think I'm getting hungry for some Lindsay's Pizza is what I think. We went 13-1. My bad. I thought
okay, brother.
I thought Golden Eagles would get it done, but they didn't.
That's okay.
13-1 against 6-8. So Commanding lead early. We're not
We're
celebrating
We're not
yet.
pushing. I know, but I do
We're
like
not even, we're not even
spicy
at the-
wings.
We're not even at the end of the first quarter yet.
Okay.
We went 6-8.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But
All
I'll tell you what,
Hey,
watching this week's
TJ,
going to be a big week.
We had some bad calls. Okay?
Yeah. Hey, we start slow, but we finish strong.
Okay.
It's all about the finish.
It's all about adjustments.
About you fans, we're out there for you.
All right, that's going to do it for us here inside of the Presentation Center at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Again, a special shout out to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, celebrating 60 years this past weekend. Did a lot of great things here inside of the museum, opened it up free admission for Stark County residents, so a lot of people took advantage of that. Got a chance to see a couple of your boys, Joe D. and Morton Anderson. Also, Dave Robinson was here as well. And then on Sunday, they welcomed in over 20 Gold Jackets back here, and really just a nice celebration for 60 years. It's what
Wait a
do they
minute.
say? It's
Was
one of the
Goldie
greatest-
the goat here?
Goldie was around, man. Goldie was running. He was stretching his legs.
Looking for you.
It's one of the greatest.
Sorry, Goldie, I'm taking.
They call it the greatest Hall of Fame on earth, man. Some of the most legendary athletes inside of here. As we look over across the hallway at the bus, we want to say again thank you to our good friends here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, always taking care of us. Cheryl Shepard, Rich DeRogers, and their crew, always putting us in the driver's seat here, so we appreciate you guys. Also want to give a special shout-out to the Eagles FOE 190, Hilsher Clark Electric Company, and our good friends over at C.H. Vallis & Associates, H&H Truck Parts, LPL Financial, Lindsay's Pizza, McNeil & Sons Tree Service, Cackley Insurance, and always, man, we always support our veterans here at Stark Media, Leathernecks Nation MC, the Sam Center, Save22.vet, and go check our boy out in downtown Massillon, JP Simon, Spirit of Stark over at 409 Erie Street North. All right, for Rod Strata, Jeff Tyler, Jim Bostic, I'm TJ Downing. We're going to wrap it up here. We will be with you on Friday evening, getting you ready for Week 5 of Ohio High School football. Check us out, starkmedia.tkdssports.com. We'll have all the action for you, and we'll be back with you again next week as we try and do some better picks here. I think we'll have a better record this week. So long, everybody, here from the Presentation Center and the Pro Football Hall of Fame.